Hello, good afternoon, Chuckadelphia. This is Chuck coming to you live from the command center. And today I have a very special guest. He's a longtime friend of mine. And in fact, when I first started as the coordinator at another language school, this gentleman gave me some sage advice. He told me to always be yourself and be consistent. And that was some of the best advice I'd ever heard as far as like going into a management position. And I want to introduce you to a very dear friend of mine, Rich Glass. And Rich, tell us where you
Hi,
are
everyone.
today.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's great to be talking with you, even virtually. I live in New Jersey in the United States. It is on the East Coast of the United States and borders the Atlantic Ocean. If you're familiar with the geography within the United States, we're on the Atlantic Ocean, which is very nice. So that's where I'm at in the country.
Yeah, okay, cool. And tell us a little bit about what you do, Rich, and also a little bit about your family.
Sure, thank you. So right now I am in sales with a software company, a global software company called SAP. And prior to that, that's only been since the end of October. And prior to that, for the previous 21 years, I worked for a food company. So if you think of any store that you go into, no matter what country you are in, and you're buying or purchasing foods, I worked for a company that manufactured the food that you would buy in a supermarket or a grocery store, or if you ate out at a restaurant. My family, I have this year coming up in August will be my 30th anniversary. Been married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Coming up on 30 years. I have 2 children. One is in graduate school. So continuing on with the college experience, and lives in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I have a daughter who is in undergraduate school in college here in the United States, and is now finishing up her junior year, her third year of school.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Congratulations. Now,
even the dog is excited.
Yeah, you can hear that. That was I'm really sorry about that. I don't even know if we should.
I think it's great.
Yeah, let's just go. It's additional challenge. Natural, definitely. So yeah, Rich, you and I were talking earlier about one of the things that you really like to do, and that's involving yourself in concerts. And I would like you to talk about your favorite concerts, the best performers you've ever seen, and what concert going means to you.
Sure. So that's a great topic and a great question, and something near and dear to my heart. I have been to a lot of concerts, and to me, there are very few things in my life that are as fun and as exciting as going to a live concert, to a concert. I have been to a number. My favorite artist from a concert standpoint is Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, someone that's more of my generation. But I have seen a number of artists that my kids, who again are in their early to mid 20s, have taught me. So a band like the Killers, as an example, I love the Killers now because of my kids, and they put on an incredible concert. There is nothing, Chuck and folks, there is nothing as exciting and as invigorating in life to me as when you're at a live show and it's about to start and the lights go down, and the excitement and the adrenaline and the electricity that you get in that arena or that venue when those lights first go down. It's indescribable how exciting that is, and I love that very much. So number of the artists that I love to see, Billy Joel, Coldplay, U2 is one of my favorites. I would go see them any and every time that I could, if I could. So there are a number of artists, Chuck, but the biggest ones are probably the ones that I just named to you.
Okay. Out of curiosity, Rich, in your concert going experiences, have you seen shows in both large arenas and also like small venues?
So I have. I've seen the largest being in festivals where there's over 100,000 people in attendance, in stadiums, football and baseball stadiums, where you might have 50 to 60 to 70,000, in arenas where you might get somewhere around 20,000, in amphitheaters where you might get somewhere in that 10 to 15,000. and
Hmm.
small venues all the way down to 300 to 400, maybe 500, which
Hmm.
are some of my favorites because
Hmm.
you really are as close to the artist as you could possibly get. So I've been through or been to all of them.
Okay.
They each bring a different experience too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And who would you like to see that you have not seen yet?
Pink, of all artists, believe it or not, is
Pink.
Pink.
Wow.
That Pink
Okay.
is on my. I wish that I've always wanted to see her. I think she has just an incredible voice, and that's who I want to see that I have not seen is Pink.
Okay. And if you had the chance to invite any artist over for dinner, who would you invite and what would you serve?
What would I serve? Wow. So the artist would be Bruce Springsteen, just because he's been my favorite um, for the past 30 years. And what I would serve, that's a great question. So I love seafood. I hope he would like seafood, but I would probably serve some kind of seafood dish. Scallops,
Mhm.
which are very much native to New Jersey,
Yeah.
or salmon or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you would definitely have to talk to his manager beforehand because you don't want to serve him anything that he would be allergic to, right?
Either allergic to or not like, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No,
Exactly.
shrimp, scallops.
Yeah, I know. Put him in the hospital would not be a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Now, one of the things that ESL learners, English as a second language learner, does to practice their listening comprehension is listen to English music. And one of the things they like is when a song has like good storytelling. Now, I hear you talk about Bruce Springsteen a lot. How about any other artists that you can think of that might be good at storytelling in their songs?
Uh, no, that's great. So there are a number of artists who are great at storytelling. There's an artist who's been around longer than I have, actually, named James Taylor, who tells beautiful stories with his words and with his songs. Cat Stevens is an older artist that I would recommend too. There's a song called Father and Son that is about exactly that, the
Hmm.
relationship of a father and his son, that I would recommend highly to anybody who wants to hear a good story communicated through a song.
Hmm.
And there are a number of artists that tell stories. I'll go back to one that I think I mentioned earlier. Billy Joel is another artist that has been around for a number of years, who
Hmm.
is famous for telling stories through his songs and through his words. I would
Hmm.
recommend those three. Again,
Hmm.
generationally, maybe a little bit older than a lot of the folks that are listening here, but
Hmm.
I've always found, just as I mentioned earlier, where I have learned to appreciate and love a number of bands from my children's generation. They have gotten the benefit and the joy of listening to artists from my generation. And I
Hmm.
would recommend putting aside anything you think about older artists and give a listen, because there's
Yeah,
some tremendous music across all generations.
that's a pretty good piece of advice. Now, since you brought it up, I would imagine like maybe in your mind that no matter what the generation is, there's something consistent about what makes a good song. So, what do you think are the key components behind a good song?
So for me, it has always been, I usually don't hear or interpret the words initially. It's the sound of the music of the song that connects to me. And then from there, I will usually go and try to focus on the words, or I will look at the lyrics. So
Hmm.
what gets me is how a song sounds musically when I first hear it.
Hmm.
That's the catch for me. That's the hook. The
Hmm.
the the words and the lyrics actually come second. But
Okay.
that's me. Other people
Yeah.
focus on words first, but for me, it's the sound, it's the melody, um, it's the music. And
Hmm.
I don't play an instrument, Chuck, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay.
I am not musical at all. I
Hmm.
have an ear for things, but I don't play. But
Hmm.
it's the music that gets me first.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this: who is the best guitarist you've ever heard?
Wow. Um, that's a great question. So it's funny that you ask about guitarists, because I can listen and I can tell a great piano player from an average piano player.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who plays guitar, and I've told him I couldn't tell the difference between a great guitar player and an average guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
So what most people have generally acknowledged are some of the best guitarists of all time include Eric Clapton, Brian May, who is the lead guitarist for Queen, I think is a phenomenal guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
But that one's actually a harder question for me to answer
Mm-hmm.
because not being someone who plays guitar, I can't tell a great
Yeah.
guitarist from an average guitarist.
Okay.
I hope that's okay as an answer.
No, that's fair enough. And I think I think one of the ways that we could tell how successful a great guitarist is, like, just immediately you start to think of their riffs, the things that they're most popular for. And you brought up Brian May, and I just think of the guitar solo in "We Will Rock You,"
Yep.
in Bohemian Rhapsody, and in Eric Clapton, I think of Layla. I think of how fast he can play, and then the slow jams like "Wonderful Tonight," and I think, yeah, it's really hard to peg the greatness of guitarists and who we could honestly say is the best one. It's all subjective, but
it's all subjective.
Yeah, the two that you mentioned, instantaneously I thought of like the great songs that they contributed to.
Yep.
So, all right, very cool. Well, Rich, I think our time's just about up, and I want to thank you very much. It's great to see you. I've always appreciated having you in my life, and it's great to be able to share your concert going experiences and knowledge of music with the Chuckadelphia masses of 200 people.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Enjoy and be good.
Yeah, thank you very much. And this is Chuck coming to you from Chuckadelphia. Remember, you do not need a classroom to learn. The world is your classroom, okay? Keep listening to us. And in the comment box below, tell us who your favorite concerts have been and who you would like to see in concert. So that is all for now. Carpe diem. And as always, ciao, ciao.